start on the bottom, made my way to the top. Boy, I'm gonna keep winning. No, I cannot stop.
And welcome into the David Eickholt Show, brought to you by thesportspill.com. Real opinions, real analysis, real news all the time. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, David Eickholt, and I'm very, very, very excited to be able to finally do my first NBA podcast for thesportspill.com. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I put a lot of thought into this, and I'm really excited to hopefully bring you a pretty solid product here at thesportspill.com. Well, thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, David Eickholt, and we have a packed first show for you today. We're going to hit on what the Cavs' problems are and what they do now after Bogut's injury, take a look at the Eastern Conference, and then bring in Fred Katz, who is the Oklahoma City Thunder beat writer for the Norman Transcript, to talk about the Thunder's recent struggles, the MVP race, and the Western Conference in general. And then we'll close with David's final word. Andrew Bogut is officially ruled out for the Cleveland Cavaliers for the rest of the regular season, plus the playoffs, because of a fractured left tibia. The Cleveland Cavaliers announced Wednesday. Bogut signed last week, played just 58 seconds in his debut on Monday before colliding with Miami Heat's Okaro White and suffered the injury. And they also released that Bogut will not undergo surgery on his leg, but rather undergo an extended period of immobilization and healing stimulation, according to the team. He's expected to be fully healthy by next season, but that will not help the Cleveland Cavaliers this season as they look to go back-to-back as NBA champions. So let's take a look here. The Cleveland Cavaliers need a defensive big man now. Bogut's done. Tristan Thompson's not going to be able to take it all. There's a couple options I see right now that they could go with. Let's start with, how about Larry Sanders, who has just been, he was a story 2 years ago when he made his whole famous speech. I'll let you take a listen to it.
I'm a person. I'm a father. I'm an artist. I'm a writer. I'm a painter. I'm a musician. And sometimes I play basketball.
And that is not true anymore, as Larry Sanders really does not play basketball anymore. But that is all the more reason to get him back. Teams have been looking at trying to get him to come back out of retirement, I guess we'll call it. He was 26 years old when he said basketball just consumed his life. He didn't really feel happy doing it. But I think if he has a shot being an NBA champion, the Cavaliers can get him back. There's a couple things that maybe strike difficulty in that is, think about this. He's been inactive for 2 years. We don't know how good he's going to be. But this is a guy who, his career average is 1.8 blocks per game. He's that defensive rim protector that the Cavaliers need. And I think he is easily one option that if you paired with a Tristan Thompson, that they could be a really deadly 4-5 combination inside in terms of protecting the rim, grabbing rebounds, and having putbacks. That's really all they're going to need him for. J.R. Smith will be back for the Cavaliers within the next 5 to 6 days, the team announced. Obviously, the addition of Kyle Korver, that's going to help the shooting aspect. Kevin Love will return later this month after he underwent a knee surgery. But Larry Sanders is the first guy I would reach out to, and I think he'd be a really solid replacement for Bogut. And, poor Bogut, his body's just been breaking down. Both of his knees are just really bad now. He really just has not been healthy since he really came into the league. He played in all 82 games his rookie season, but since then, really outside of his first and third year, he played 78 games in his third year, but he's not really been healthy for a lot of the season. 2011, 2012, played 12 games. 2012, 13, 32 games. Dallas this season, played 26 before he hurt his hamstring. But, this is a guy whose career average is 10 points, 9 rebounds, but he's never really been an offensive threat. Never really had a go-to move, even out of college. Really, he's not a vertical guy, really not that athletic, but he brought that defense and leadership mentality, and that's what the Cavs need. They need another interior leader, and I think he would have been that, but that's something that Larry Sanders, possibly could be. Another guy I would look at, he's out of his prime. Defense has been, a little bit questionable over his career. I'd go with a guy like Luis Scola. Luis Scola, one time, his career average, he's a 12-7 career average. You really can't get much better than that. Out of free agency at this point. Brooklyn really, waived him. He was averaging 5 points and 4 rebounds, but anyone on the Brooklyn Nets is bad. The Nets are bad. That's what it is. They would have the number 1 pick or the best shot at the number 1 pick of this season, but they trade away. Now Boston has it. Not really the right move by Jay-Z. I guess he is not really running this town tonight or in a few years because he's just not doing what they need to do to win. Obviously, he's a minority owner, but the Nets just do not have a bright future at this point, and I've already spent way too long talking about them. So I think the Cavaliers, there's a couple really good options out there. Otherwise, they're no defense specialists. You need defensive specialists at this point. If you're LeBron James, you got Kyrie, LeBron, J.R. Smith, Kevin Love, they can get all the buckets you need. That's all you need. You got Darren Williams, who's a good backup point guard. He may be old as heck and, killed Jerry Sloan's career, but, he's a good backup guy. He can make his threes. He's a good distributor, takes care of the ball, and at one time was the top 3-point guard in the league. Anyway, Cavaliers should go after Larry Sanders, Luis Scola, and maybe they can look around the market, but those are the 2 guys I start with. And welcome back to the David Eickholt Show, brought to you by thesportspill.com. Real analysis, real opinions, real news all the time. I'm absolutely privileged to bring on Fred Katz, who is the Oklahoma City Thunder beat writer for the Norman Transcript, to talk about Thunder's recent struggles. Fred, happy to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so let's start with the obvious. Thunder have dropped 4 straight games. Russell Westbrook's production has been out of this world right now. But what do you see as the biggest problem for the Thunder right now?
Well, they've really struggled on the defensive end, which is something that's totally different from what it was, as of 4 games ago. This 4-game losing streak, they have one of the worst defenses in the league over the last week, really since the month started. Some of that has to do with Steven Adams really being in a slump. Some of that has to do with them just kind of being unable to contain the ball at the point of action with pick and rolls and with weak side defenders helping in those scenarios. They've really struggled. They're giving up a lot of shots at the rim. They're giving them up at a really, really, really high efficiency as well, which has really made them struggle a lot. And if they can shore up the defense, they'll be in okay shape. They dropped 121 points on Portland, but they gave up 126.
Yeah.
But if they can shore up the defense, they'll be fine. But that's really been the main issue.
Seems like Jusuf Nurkic has just been an absolute monster against the Thunder in the 2 games against them. But what is wrong with Steven Adams right now? Is it kind of an emotional thing? He's not hurt, is he? He's just kind of in a weird funk right now?
Yeah, it does. Funk is probably a good word for it. It does seem like he's in a little bit of a funk. Defensively, he hasn't quite been there. Offensively, he's not getting shots up. He hasn't been as active as a screen setter. He hasn't been as impactful as kind of an off-ball help defender or anything like that. A funk is a good word for it. He just kind of looks like he's in a defensive slump, and I think he'll come out of it because we've seen he's had a really, really good season so far, especially on the defensive end. But it's something he needs to come out of in order for this defense to get better.
Keep in mind, they're only a game back of the 6th seed, I believe, right now. Do you see it as a problem with Billy Donovan's defense? Because at least from my eyes, I see Steven Adams switching out on a lot of the perimeter guys a lot more than he did, before the All-Star break.
Yeah, that's something that they've tried to integrate into their defense a decent amount. I think Billy's talked about how he kind of saw what Adams was able to do, switching out to smaller guys, as guys who can shoot and that kind of stuff during last year's playoff run, especially against Golden State. And something he's tried to integrate more into the offense this year, or the defense this year. Look, I think part of that is just they're playing against point guards who can shoot. That's how they defend Damian. That's how they defend Damian Lillard. That's what they do to Damian Lillard on ball screens, because that's what they do to Stephen Curry, who they're not playing in this stretch. But just guys who can shoot, guys like that who can shoot. They have a lot of confidence in Adams being able to do that. I don't think they've necessarily changed that much from a schematic standpoint. I think they're just executing worse.
So let's take a look at Russell Westbrook's shot production right now. He's taking a lot of shots, out shooting the starters for last couple of games. Do the fans see that as a problem? Do you see that as a problem? Is he not trying to get the guys involved enough, or is he the only one right now that can really make a play?
I think overall it's probably not a problem, but there are individual moments where you think, okay, well, that's a bad shot, because that's kind of what Russ does. even his greatest supporters, the people who most staunchly think that he should be MVP, will admit to you that he will take bad shots. So certainly there are moments where you see him take, like that pull-up 30-footer with 11 seconds left with them down 3 to Portland last night. That was a bad shot. That was bad shot selection, and I don't think there's really a way to spin it otherwise. But overall, I mean, look, he was efficient in that Portland game. He took 39 shots, which is a crazy number, but he had 58 and he made 21 of them and got to the line 16 times. And it was an efficient performance, even though it was a pretty voluminous one.
So in Oklahoma City right now, Thunder fans, what's the kind of buzz right now you're getting from the local field? What are their expectations for this team at this moment?
Well, Thunder fans I'm trying to figure out the exact word to say this. Well, they're certainly passionate. They're obviously a passionate fan base, but I would say Thunder fans are a little bit emotionally unstable as a fan base because they've never had like when they were winning 3 in a row, I would get Twitter questions every single day from random people. Are they going to get the 4 seed? Could they win a playoff series and play the Warriors in the second round?
Sure.
And now that they've lost 4 in a row with the exact same roster, doing the exact same stuff, they should tank and lose out the rest of the year, which doesn't even make sense.
No, it doesn't.
They've already won 35 games. But I think that's just because this is a fan base that it's never had a good team. It's never had like a normally good team.
Sure.
It's either had a new team, or it's like a new team with promise and young players, or it's been a championship contender.
Sure.
They've never really had a good team, and I don't think they know how to be a fan base of a good team. So when they win, they're amazing and they're going to win a championship again. It's like kind of that college football mentality because that's what they all are.
Yep.
And then when they lose, it's the end of the world and it's all over. So how is the fan base? It depends on what the results of the most recent game is.
Sure. Now let's take a little bit broader look and just kind of focus on Russell Westbrook and his MVP candidacy. How are you viewing the MVP race right now? Because this is arguably the deepest MVP race in memory, at least for me.
Yeah, I think right now it's easy to make an argument for 4 guys. Honestly, I know people say it's a 2-horse race, but I think you can make an argument for Kawhi and LeBron James as well. I would say it's James Harden right now, and the efficiency is the easy argument. Wins are the easy argument. I think points produced is something that's got to come into the equation too. James Harden's assists, and he's averaging like 1 more assist or whatever than Westbrook, but James Harden's assists are producing way more points, like 300 more points than Russell Westbrook's assists this year because he creates so many more threes. Now, obviously, his team takes a lot more threes, and schematically, that's the way they work. And they have more three-point shooters than the Thunder do because the Thunder are one of the 2 or 3 worst three-point shooting teams in the NBA. But Harden is as good as anybody out there creating threes, finding guys at the three-point line, and creating not only efficient shots for himself, because we talk about him being efficient, but he is better at creating more efficient open looks than Russell Westbrook is, who gets a lot of assists, maybe throwing back to guys from mid-range or maybe some dump offs for contested looks at the rim for his bigs and that kind of stuff. When Harden is getting guys open threes and he's getting balls to cutters and that kind of stuff. And it's different. And I do think it's hard to divorce those sorts of numbers from the actual offensive system or defensive system if you're looking at the defensive side of it that those guys are in. But I don't think you necessarily have to make the MVP argument. I don't think you necessarily need to do that. So I would say Harden is 1. I put Westbrook at 2 in that sense.
Okay, yeah, it does not hurt James Harden and the Rockets, and they had Lou Williams, and they have 2 Sixth Man of the Year candidates on that team now, and they've got shooters on shooters right now. So let's take a look at the arch enemy team for the Thunder, the Golden State Warriors. Do you see them possibly losing that 1 seed? Because without Kevin Durant, they just have not looked the same at all, or is it just an adjustment period for them to kind of retweak the offense without Kevin Durant, at least for the rest of the regular season?
Yeah, they haven't looked quite as good. I'm with you on that, but I mean, obviously they lose Kevin Durant, then he's a pretty darn good player. But I think they got enough of a cushion. San Antonio is obviously really good, but I think they have enough of a cushion to where they're going to be able to squeak out the 1 seed, win in the mid-60s. San Antonio is going to get to a point where they're going to start resting guys. They're already doing it. They're resting Kawhi against Sacramento tonight, and They're going to get to a point where they're going to start doing it more aggressively, like they do at every single point in the season, and they'll probably win 60-something games too. But I think Golden State's going to end up staying in that one.
I think you're right about that. And, the Spurs, at least for the past couple of years, it just looks like they've kind of died in the rest, later on the postseason. I mean, that's when they had guys like Tim Duncan. They had an older team, but with LaMarcus Aldridge and Kawhi Leonard basically really taking the NBA by storm, especially the last couple of years, they've been really efficient. So, Fred, I'll get you out of here on this question. Right now, who is the best team in basketball, and who do you think is going to win the championship?
I think Golden State is going to win it. I think Golden State is going to win. Today, I think San Antonio is the best team in the league, and that's just because Kevin Durant is hurt. But with Kevin Durant healthy, and they're hopeful that he's going to be healthy for the start of the playoffs. And look, they don't need Kevin Durant to win a first round series against Denver or Portland or whoever it is.
Yeah,
if he's healthy by that second round, and especially by Western Conference Finals, I think they're going to be okay. And I think Golden State is the team that's going to do it. But today, if you can't play one team today, and you have to avoid one team, and the series starts right now, I think I'd go San Antonio with the way they're playing, even though the roster is probably not the second best roster in the NBA. The way they play and Kawhi is just unbelievable. The way they play is impressive.
Fred Katz, Oklahoma City Thunder beat writer for the Norman Transcript. Check out his work. Some really good stuff. Fred, thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. And best of luck the rest of your season.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Fred Katz, Norman Transcript. And welcome back to the David Eickholt Show, brought to you by thesportspill.com. Real news, real opinions, some funny shit, and more. Thanks for staying with us. We're going to have a final segment here about the Western Conference outlook right now. There's some serious doubt right now. I think that the Golden State Warriors have not adjusted well without Kevin Durant. Their offense looks lost. The thing is, Andrew Bogut and Harrison Barnes were not the best players that the Warriors had, but it worked for their system, freeing up Steph Curry and Klay Thompson to do what they do best, and that is shoot the ball. But without some of these other role players and guys like that, they just have not played well as of late. I mean, the team's still 52-11. They're still gonna get a top 2 seed. We don't have to worry about that. It's dumb to worry about. They pulled out a late victory against the Knicks the other day and beat a Celtics team. It's going to be really crucial to see what happens with tonight. I think they have an 85% chance to win according to ESPN's BPI, and that's a little bit surprising just because of the Warriors' injuries. And the Celtics have not played the best either, but we'll save that for another day. The Warriors this season, still they're first in points per game. They're first in assists. They average over 30 assists a game, 7th in rebounds. This is a team that loves to pass the ball, loves to shoot the three. But I think Steph Curry needs to be a little bit more aggressive with his dribbling. I feel like he's just forcing up too many shots. He's not dancing on people like he used to. Klay Thompson's not getting the double screens that Bogut was an extremely good screen setter. Now they have Draymond Green, who's not bad, but they can get around Draymond Green. You need that second screen there to really free up Klay Thompson to hit a corner three, to do a lot of other things. But, I think it might help to waive one of the low guys and just hire someone who can set good screens. But, there's a lot of time for them to be able to fix that. I think we'll see tonight them play better. Just because more time without Kevin Durant, the better the team's going to get because they'll have the offense there and all of that stuff. So I think the Warriors will be fine. But, I think Fred hit right on the mark. I think right now the best team that nobody wants to play, it's not the Warriors. It's not the Cavs. It's got to be the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs have just been playing great basketball. Keep in mind, they're only 2.5 back of the Warriors. They're 49-13, and they play the Sacramento Kings with the second coming of Steph Curry on that team and Buddy Hield. I think the Spurs are just going to rout them. The Kawhi Leonard proved Monday that he's probably the clutchest player in the NBA. Had that block at the end of the game after hitting a 2 in Harden's face. He's just looked really, really good as of late. So it'll be interesting to see when the Spurs really start resting Kawhi more, when they start resting their really solid players more, because this is a team that over the past couple of years has worn down in the playoffs. No offense to Greg Popovich, but with Tim Duncan being 40, Tony Parker's getting up there in age, Manu Ginobili, that big three is just kind of, they're getting canes, they're getting wheelchairs, they're kind of just done. They're there, but Manu Ginobili's there for support and expertise and can hit your occasional three ball right there. So the top 2 seeds are basically set that you can interchange them, the Warriors or the Spurs, but the Rockets might have that 3rd spot locked up, but the Clippers have been struggling as of late. They're down 23-8 right now. The Minnesota Timberwolves are 25-37. If they get hot, they have a shot at making it in the playoffs as that 8th seed. But the real storyline in the Western Conference is the 5 through 7 seed. There's only 3.5 games separating the Clippers, the Grizzlies, and the Thunder. And the Grizzlies haven't been playing that good of ball either. They've lost 3 straight. They're 4-6 in their last 10. Thunder are 4-6, and the Clippers, they're 6-4. There's a lot of moving parts there. It's can Chris Paul lead that team to a solid seed? And they'll play the Jazz, by the way, their defense, and Rudy Gobert might be one of the most underappreciated big men in the league. Yeah, he doesn't score a lot, but his rebounding, his defense, and just his communication, his screens, he's a really, really solid center, probably top 3 in the NBA. Looking down the list, the Memphis Grizzlies, they're there. Mark Gasol put together another all-star year, but their defense is what's carrying them. They're 4th in points allowed. They're only outscoring opposing teams by 0.9 points a game. That's under a point a game. They're scoring 101.5 points a game. They're 17th in rebounds, or 24th in assists. Just not a lot of guys that can really create shots. And I think that something in the playoffs, if you can't create shots, you will not succeed. There's only 3 guys that average double-digit points for the Grizzlies. That's Gasol, Mike Conley, and Zach Randolph. Their 4th thing scorer is Tony Allen. Tony Allen? My God. I mean, that's not going to get done in the playoffs. And right now they're scheduled to play the Rockets, the best 3-point shooting team that the league may have ever seen combined as a team. They got 2 Six-Man of the Year candidates. They have James Harden. They have Trevor Ariza. I mean, they have guys who can just get straight buckets. The Grizzlies, I could see falling, and I mean they'll probably be a 7th seed. I think Fred's right. I think the Thunder will get together. They'll probably end up being the 6th seed, and they're gonna play the Rockets. Then you're gonna see that 2 of the best statistical playoff stat lines we've probably ever seen when Russell Westbrook and James Harden have to go at it. So the Western Conference is definitely something to watch. The 5 through 7 seed will be extremely fun, and it's gonna be really interesting to see if the Warriors can hang on that 1 spot and adjust without Kevin Durant. I think they will. I think they get the victory tonight. I'm going to say they get the victory 109-98 over the Celtics tonight. When we come back, we're going to have my final word about the MVP race. You won't want to miss it. Stay with us. Welcome back to the David Eickholt Show, brought to you by thesportsbill.com. Real news, real opinions, some humor, no bullshit. I'm David Eickholt, and let's have a final look at this MVP race. We are witnessing what is arguably the best MVP race of all time. I was not a big believer in Kawhi Leonard. I think he's a very, very, really good player. Both sides of the ball, but he just lacks that takeover ability. But over the course of this last, 20, 30 games, he's really proven that he can be a closer and he can take over when he needs to. And I think he belongs right in that discussion, as does LeBron James. People underappreciate LeBron James right now because of his greatness, and that's why he's not number 1 or 2 in the MVP ballot. He's averaging 25, 9, and 8. 25, 9, and 8, and people are saying, it's LeBron. It's LeBron. That's like you getting a new Bugatti every single year, and it gets better and better and better, but you're just like, I get one every year. It's good. It's cool. I like it. But I expect it. And LeBron James deserves to be respected and praised for the type of year he's had. and I feel like he does belong in the discussion for obvious reasons. I'd put him at number 2 right now. Russell Westbrook needs to be number 1 in the MVP ballot. I don't think it should be unanimous because it's one of the deepest, but I think he should win. I don't think it should be as close as what people are saying. He is averaging 31 points, 10.5 rebounds, and 10 assists. Yeah, Oscar Robertson did, but they had 20 or 30 more possessions a game. That's more opportunities for rebounds, more opportunities for assists, and more opportunities to score. His second option for most of the year is Steven Adams. Steven Adams. You want to know what his stat line was last night? 2 points and 4 rebounds. That's his second freaking option. Then you got Victor Oladipo, whose back's been hurt, and I don't know why. He's not been carrying the team for any reason. Doug McDermott has not really adjusted well. He's not hitting the open looks. He's not really asserting himself. Ennis Cantor punched a chair and was out 6 weeks. 6 weeks. I mean, Russell Westbrook and Andre Robertson. He's a really good defender, but he can't score. But this is, if that's not enough to convince you, a triple-double average. And, Russell gets triple-double, we go, meh. But if he doesn't get a triple-double, everyone's like, he didn't get a triple-double night? What was wrong with him? Why didn't he do this? Why didn't he do that? He's third all-time in triple-doubles per season. He's trailing Wilt Chamberlain by 1. And where it's like, this team's bad. He's got no one to work with. Absolutely no one. And again, if this isn't enough to convince you, Norman Transcript Fred Katz tweeted out a stat earlier today, and it's arguably one of the craziest stats I've ever seen. If Russell Westbrook averaged 0, 0, and 0 for the rest of this season, do you know what his stats would be? Still better than Kawhi Leonard. He'd be averaging 26 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists. If he had 0, 0, and 0 for the last 18 games, he'd still have better numbers than Kawhi Leonard. If Russell Westbrook gets his team to 40, he still has to get W's. Don't get me wrong. He still got to get them dubs. That's why he's getting paid. That's why he's carrying the team. That's what the fans expect. If he gets that team to 45 wins, I don't care if Harden gets his to 55. He's got 2 Sixth Man of the Year candidates that are about to hit the most three-pointers of all time for a single season. And they're going to shatter the record. Shatter it. Need to give Russell Westbrook the credit he deserves, and that is the MVP award. That's what I believe. I will listen to any other arguments for LeBron, for Kawhi. It'll take a little bit harder time for you to convince me Kawhi should be the leader, but I'll definitely listen. And James Harden. But right now, and until proven otherwise, Russell Westbrook is the MVP. Thanks for listening. I'm hoping to do this a lot more often. No shit, my real opinion. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back